Hi all, if you have been dealing with soap separation constantly, especially in cold procedure way of making bar soap, this can actually occur whenever you add your fragrance to your soap in your cold process making and you see that your soap batter tend to accelerate, causing separation and rising. You start to see your soap separating as if it's egusi soup or water getting below the soap and then the soap batter turning into rice grains. If you have been experiencing this, please keep watching this video and I will explain to you how you can actually deal with this kind of soap to actually make it good. So many times some of us give up and just push the soap batter to one side, feeling defeated by the soap, and then they'll start feeling bad that they have wasted money and this person's procedure did not work. So it might not actually be as a result of the recipe you are using. It may not also be always as the result of the oil you are using. Have you tried considering what was it that you added that caused the soap separation? In most cases, it always happens because of the addition of fragrance. Most of the fragrance that we buy in our local markets are actually adulterated, and because of whatever they use in adding to that fragrance, once we add it to the soap, it also leads to this separation. Sometimes even using pure essential oils can even cause this soap separation, so you are not alone on this matter. It also happens to those who are big time soapers, but one of the surest way to avoid it is switching to hot process or semi-hot procedure of making soap. That way you can actually save that soap and not have any separation. If this is something you are interested in and this is something you are experiencing and you want to know how to remedy it, keep watching and don't go anywhere. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for not going anywhere. So I'll be listing all I'm using on the screen while I'm making this video. The measurement is not actually the point of this video. This video is to show you how you can actually counter or remedy a soap separation so that you don't waste your whole soap batch. You can try it out whenever you have this kind of issue and you see the outcome. So I dissolved my caustic soda in water, cold water, and left it to cool down before making the soap, so it will be a cold process making of soap. And then the soda ash, I also dissolved it in water. If you want to always calculate your soda ash in making soap, I don't know the method you are using, but if it's cold process method, your soda ash should always be half of the size of your caustic soda. If the caustic soda you are using for that particular method, let's say, is 180 grams for 1 liter, your soda ash should actually be the exact half size of that quantity of caustic soda, which is 90 grams. Also, the water you use in diluting your soda ash should also be half of the water you use in diluting your caustic soda. I hope I have cleared this soda ash issue because so many people has that ask me this kind of question a lot, and it's not always a must for you to use soda ash. The country is hard now and chemical prices are increasing. You can actually leave out adding soda ash into your soap and work with only caustic soda and your hardness and you are good to go. Meanwhile, this is sodium silicate. If you are making a commercial way make bar soap, there is no way you can actually make that soap leaving out sodium silicate. Sodium silicate helps to shine your soap, give you that shiny look on your soap, and also helps to harden your soap. This sodium silicate, do you know that it's locally made? Do you know it's locally made? Yes, it's actually made here in Nigeria and it is also exported. But we add it in our soap to give us the hardness that we need. In replacement of sodium silicate, you can use sodium sulfate. These two adds to give your soap hardness. And then the next thing I added now is foam booster. The oil you are using may determine whether you're adding a foam booster or not. Some oils tend to lather well and foam well. Something like palm kernel oil and coconut oil gives out great foam and lather effect when you are using it to make soap. But oils like palm oil, shea butter, and then maybe beef fat, which is tallow, do not lather well. So in those kind of cases, you actually need to support your procedure with a foaming booster. Irrespective of that, the market needs a high foaming soap. So adding a little bit foam booster to your soap can actually help to make your appease your customers and make them like your brand whenever you are selling your soap to them. So what I'm using here is the palm kernel oil. You can see the way I mix my cold procedure soap. I always tell people, if you're a new beginner and somebody tells you add caustic add caustic soda after 2 minutes, add this after 3 minutes, add this, to be sincere with you all, those things are just plenty steps. Mix all your liquids together and pour it inside your oil. Stir it and pour into your mold, and you have your soap. Stop doing this and this and this, turning a simple soap making into two different stages and start having issues with it. All the same, I'm using a particular fragrance. This is lavender F. Lavender F is good for hot procedure. It is also good for cold procedure, but this particular one I'm using right here is a fake one. Immediately I got it back from the seller's shop and kept it outside under the sun, the color changed immediately, the texture changed, the fragrance changed. I noticed that it was adulterated because the other one I have from a direct supplier is still giving me the same color till now. So I know that if I use it for a cold process soap, there is no way the soap will survive it. That is why I'm using it to make this soap, to show you guys how fake fragrance or your fragrance quality can actually affect your soap. All I added was just a little bit of it into the soap making. Remember, even if I mix the soap butter before adding the fragrance, it will still occur. You can already see the soap starting to separate. It's almost as if my oil wants to separate. So I covered it and let it for some time. After covering it, once I opened it, I noticed that the soap has it has turned as if it's a jebu garri that I soaked inside water. The rising of this soap and the separation was just telling on me. The soap butter was not gelling. The soap was not coming together at all. There is no way I can actually proceed into pouring this type of soap butter into my soap mold. So I now remembered, I've read and I've seen someone say if you add something that is like a foaming agent into the soap butter, that it may help to emulsify the soap and bring it back together. Although this can actually work, I've tried it. If you are using some kind of oils or some set of fragrance, maybe if fragrance was not the cause of your issue, maybe if it was high heat, it may actually have helped. So I poured in my foam booster. I have to even get the liquid soap on my kitchen in my kitchen to use, and what it just did was just make it a little bit lighter. It wasn't much grainy again, but still my soap butter was not giving me the texture I want it to give me before I can pour it inside mold. I didn't rush this part of this video so that you guys can actually see it very well what I am talking about. If it's a big batch, maybe if you pour this soap inside the mold, you may come back and see some water floating or oil floating, butter in the middle, and then glycerin water underneath, called glycerin river, if you actually pour this kind of soap. Because the more it's staying, the more it's accelerating, the more soap separation is occurring. So I wouldn't suggest this texture being poured into the mold. So one of the best things to do is to introduce heat. You see, I just placed it on heat for just five minutes, and I brought it out and I saw that the soap has started coming together. Applying this heat on a low temperature, that means if it's a small batch, you should double boil. If it's a big batch, please reduce the heat very well. I just introduced very little heat. I was constantly stirring for some minutes. Within the next 5 minutes, it all dissolved and I started getting a very creamy texture where I would actually want to pour the soap. So I added a little bit green color and then I'll return it back on fire to continue the heating. The texture you should arrive at before pouring your soap is the gel stage, the gel texture. It should give you a texture that looks like candle wax. What I mean is that if you pick up the soap batter, and drop on your skin or on the floor, it should dry up immediately. That stage is when you know you have reached the gel phase in making your soap. At that point, saponification is almost 100% complete, and at that stage, you can actually sell that soap. That is why they normally say that hot process and semi-hot process soap are actually a little bit better than cold procedure soap, because you tend to achieve that saponification with heat, accelerate it with heat before you even pour your soap into the mold. So your soap will be very okay. You can sell it within the week, and with this kind of procedure, you actually tend to even it tends to accommodate more fluid than a normal cold procedure way of making soap. You will not have soap shrinkage, you will not have soap reducing, you will not have all those faults and error. So you see the way we use the heat to gel this soap. It was a cold process soap that went bad. We placed it on heat so that the soap can gel, and then we poured it into the mold. You can already see that the soap is already getting hard even as I'm pouring it into the soap mold. The ones beside the stainless steel container I'm using has already caked up. Just as any breeze or air touches the soap, as it's cooling down, it's getting hard. That's why I like this kind of procedure whenever I'm making soap. If you are in my bar soap or laundry bar soap advanced soap class, you already be used to this method. As it's cooling off, it's getting hard, you cut your soap. You can actually make this soap in a day and cut it in a day if you actually start it from the beginning. So I believe you must have learned something now on how you can actually remedy your soap whenever you're having any soap separation, be it any size of soap. Please just introduce it, and you see your soap coming back together and giving you a very beautiful texture. At the end, if you cut the soap, the final texture and appearance will actually be better than a matte look cold process soap. You have a soap that has a little bit translucency at the edge. If you don't introduce any clay or chalk into your procedure, you have a very fine texture of soap. This is a very good way to remedy your soap. Trust me. Mark this. You can just uh, 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 save it somewhere. You can save this video, you can share this video, you can do anything to this video so that you always remember it. I hope by now you must have liked this video and subscribed to my channel, because this is a very good thing you must have learned today. Thank you all for staying with me here on Bam DIY. We all grew from 1 subscriber. Today we are at over 11,000 subscribers. Thank you all for all you do. Have a blessed day.